I realized in myself that whenever I was judging somebody and criticizing somebody, looking down on somebody, if I was really honest, I found out that the thing I was judging them for was something I was actually feeling ashamed about. And I was judging and pointing my finger out at them, and actually 3 of them were pointing back at me. You know, it's the old problem that pluck the mote out of your own eye before you pluck it out of somebody else's, and look inside yourself before you look at others that way. And I decided to go to the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, which is the biggest dictionary I could find at the time. Smallest little print, thinnest little paper, most comprehensive dictionary. And I went through every human behavioral trait that I could find that a human being could display. And I circled each behavior as I went down the page. This is a long project here. And as I came across the word that described a trait that I would consider a human behavior, some action or inaction or trait or behavior, I then thought of who is it that I know that displays that trait to the most extreme example. And I put their initials out there. And then I thought to myself, kind of where and when do I display that? And I looked inside my life and really reflected, because reflective awareness, which is self-inspection, introspection, is one of the greatest awarenesses we have. It's what distinguishes us from the animals in a sense. There is a non-reflective consciousness and reflective non-reflective consciousness, observant of the world around you, like an animal can see the environment, but it can't see itself look at the environment. But self-reflective awareness is being able to look at yourself in the environment, looking at the environment. And I looked at myself and I realized that the individuals that I had imagined being the most extreme example, I looked for where and when I displayed that. And it was not hard to see. I realized that I actually did display those same behaviors. And I went through, believe it or not, 4,628 traits. And I discovered I had them all. I was nice at times, I was mean at times, I was kind at times, I was cruel at times, I was considerate, inconsiderate, thoughtful, thoughtless, peaceful, wrathful, nice, mean, kind, cruel, considerate, inconsiderate. I was honest, dishonest. I was putting on with pride and arrogance, and then shame and humbleness. And I went through and I found out that I did every one of them at different moments in my life, if I was really honest. And I didn't want to be honest. I wanted to put on the proud face and pretend like I had gotten rid of some. I actually was bought into at that early stage that I had self-improvement, that I was going to get rid of half of myself and get only one-sidedness. It was until age 30 that I finally realized that was futile. I realized that everything that I thought I'd gotten rid of, I realized I still surfaced and I was repressing it, and then it would explode. When I finally realized it, I realized it's better to just own the traits. It's interesting how we want to be loved for who we are, and yet we're trying to get rid of half of ourselves. And we want to love other people, but we want to get rid of half of them. And we want to love the world and want to get rid of half of it. And that's just absolutely idiocy when you think about it. You're not going to do it. And I found out that I never got rid of a trait. I never really gained a trait because I traced those traits all the way back to my childhood. And I continue to have them. And I realized that these biological traits, these behaviors, were absolutely essential. And there was a biological reason for them. I realized that I needed kind and cruel at different signs, because when my values, my hierarchy of values were supported, I was nice. I was a pussycat. When my values were challenged, I was cruel. And I needed both of those because life has both support and challenge. Maximum growth and development occurs at the border of support and challenge, order and chaos. Living at the edge of chaos is one of the principles in evolutionary biology.